Do you believe in God? Who is God to you?
Yes, I believe in God. And not just in like a religious sense, but I believe that there's like a greater, deeper meaning to life. And I believe that everyone has to find that. And like Catholics believe, you can only finally be fulfilled in life if you through God. But I believe that other people find God in maybe not in like they may not define him as God, but they find him through other things. Like that's who God is to me. He's just like obviously from a religious sense, God is God, but from like a deeper sense, God is like whatever like fulfills your life, because that's how God like works through you.
Describe your relationship with God.
I would say my relationship with God is one of a deeper one. I'd say the relationship with God I've found is not purely like in prayer, but in going to church. And I understand church is form of prayer, but I believe that like worshiping Him by myself and not necessarily having a conversation with God is how like I find God. And my relationship with God, I'd say, definitely is like a strong one, and it's a very important relationship in my life. I feel like through God, I do everything, and I can get done what I need through God.
Describe how you pray or connect to God.
Well, I use a lot of types of prayer. I employ them. One type of prayer I like to use is just sitting there and like being quiet, almost like a meditative prayer. I just like wait for him to come to me and let me know like what he wants me to do. But I always try to say, not my will, but yours be done. So like God, like ultimately it's God's plan, it's not my plan. So mostly how I pray is through meditation, but obviously I try to pray the Our Father, the Susape, the Hail Mary. I like to get all those prayers in, not just meditative, but you want to recite the prayers and like really like know what they mean, just be aware of that.
When have you felt closest to God? Have you ever had a profound religious experience, like a moment of conversion or reawakening?
I'd say I felt closest to God when I went on the March for Life trip, and we went to DC, and we went to the Pontifical High Mass, which is a mass that's in all Latin. I feel like in that you're not like, because you have to really think about the words because you don't know them, because not everyone speaks Latin. I mean, I myself am pretty fluent in Latin, but I feel that the more you think about it, like you get a lot deeper. And I remember that was like a big point for me. And even further than that, when we were like doing the actual march itself and just seeing all these people come out, like just made me really feel that like it's not just me. Like there's a greater significance in all this. Now like that's what I really need to tap into. And I feel like that is like one of my greatest moments with God. But a great like reawakening moment with God is probably when I was in sixth grade, I want to say, or going into sixth grade. And I remember like, a lot of people like that's like kind of when you drift away from God because it's not like really like that important. But then I felt like God just like started drawing me in closer. Like whenever I would like try to go to bed, he was trying to talk to me. I feel like that's what like spurred my meditation prayers, and that's what really helps me get through like all that.
Who do you look up to for the relationship with God?
I'd probably have to say Brandon Bain, because he just has such a deep relationship with God and a great understanding of the faith and all of the like morals and religious doctrines. And not just that, it's a lot deeper than that. It goes back to him knowing and like receiving God's will. Like he just really talks to God a lot, and I feel like that's like something I want to strive to. And not just like understand the faith, but really like live the faith and like live it through God.
Which Christian tradition or church do you belong to?
Oh, I'm Catholic, Roman Catholic, Roman Irish Catholic.
Why do you belong to that church?
Well, I mean, one of the obvious reasons is probably my family brought me up in that faith, but even further than that, I just feel mostly through Mr. Gallagher's talks last year, I just feel like it makes the most sense. Like the human mind can find God or like create a reason for the existence of God through reason. So I feel like that like brought me to like really like not just like believe God, but believe in God and be able to explain why there's a God. And I felt like that brought me even closer, and along with like long talks with priests, stuff like that, just really secured me to be a Catholic.
So you kind of answered that in your last question, but this question is: did you grow up as a Christian? What do you most remember about your faith? What do you remember about the faith of your parents?
Well, I did grow up as a Catholic Christian, and my mother's always been a Catholic throughout her whole life. She was raised actually in Nebraska by like two very devout Catholics. My father actually was raised a Southern Baptist and converted, and I felt like having that conversion of my father, like when I was like very young, but I still sort of remember it. It like really helped me like believe that it's not just like, oh, we were all raised Catholic, so that's why we're Catholic. Like my father became Catholic, so that just like further reinforced the fact that like we choose to be Catholic. We're not just like Catholic by like birth.
What do you most remember about your faith?
I'd probably say the thing I remember most about my faith is just like all those Sunday masses and like lunch with my family afterwards. I felt like that just really solidified like this family, this like communion of all like people to come into, like go to church and then go out to eat and like talk about like the homily and stuff like that. I feel like that's probably what I remember most from my childhood.
What impact has your membership in the church had upon you?
I'd probably say it has had a positive impact, not just like a positive impact, but a great impact, and it's really like brought me closer to God, and not just like closer to God in like a religious sense, but closer to like finding like a meaning in life and having like that fulfillment. And I feel like God has brought like people into my life to bring me closer and like make me a better member of the church, and like I feel like that's had like a great impact on like the way I do things and like the way like I just live my life in general. So I just feel I would say that impact is what really like has made a difference in my life. But I would say that like the Catholic faith in general, like that impact on my life has just made me like think about so many different things. Like it was probably like affected some of my political views, but much more than that, just like what I do and what I tend to like. Basically, it's affected like all aspects of life, but probably like most importantly, it's affected my my like academic and like just my like wanting to like quest for knowledge, stuff like that.
What do you think are your most important obligations as a member of the church? How have you been active in your church?
I feel like my most important obligations are to spread the faith, and one way I've been active in my church is just like go to CCE and like talking to like the younger ones, because they all like want to like hear what the older kids have to say, and I just feel like my greatest like obligation is to just like pass on all like the blessings and stuff I've received to like the younger generations, like help out with that.
Have you ever considered working for your church as a minister or other religious persons, like a nun, priest, or deacon, etc.?
I've always thought that it'd be good of me to be a deacon. I've never thought about the priesthood, but I just have to like decide if that's what God wants for me. If that's like if I could even be like a good enough deacon, I could like really like make that difference.
Beautiful.